Today we are discussing the importance of embracing change as a small business. We are joined by Celeste Summerton, CEO of The Business Boutique. The Business Boutique offers a number of financial and business-related services, including accounting, tax and statutory services, financial and business consulting, and accounting and software training. But that is the boring stuff. The reason accountants are deemed stuffy and rigid, that is not the Business Boutique. The Business Boutique was born out of the challenge to change the perception of accounting in general and to reshape the accounting industry. Celeste Summerton took up the challenge pre-pandemic to shake things up.
You're listening to Season 2 of Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
Unsure how to improve your leadership skills or whether you're suited to being a leader to begin with? Looking for ways to build a stronger team or take better risks? Then stay tuned.
From cybersecurity, blockchain, and AI innovations to sustainability, employee retention, and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We speak to knowledgeable and insightful guests from varied backgrounds, industries, and locations from all around the globe.
From this multiplicity of thoughts, we strive to find solutions to our most urgent business problems.
Whether you're a small business owner, an accountant, entrepreneur, or even a young professional looking to progress, this podcast is for you.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights.
So Celeste, can you maybe tell us a bit about your background and how you started working with small businesses?
Perfect. So I started the Business Boutique. We're going into the 5th year this year. Previously, I was in private practice as well. But on the 28th of February 2020, a few days before we went into COVID, I made the decision to go on my own completely. And I started with about 2 clients. And I think the last time I did a little check, we were sitting on about 233 active clients. But most of our clients are small to medium-sized businesses that I focus on. I have a background in financial management. I was financial director for quite a few years, and I think that kind of gave me the opportunity to see small to medium-sized businesses, but actually in full-time practice. And then I made the decision to go on my own and to help more businesses than just one, business.
Amazing. That's such an amazing story. Over 5 years that you could grow so much.
Yeah, it's hard work, but it's rewarding every single day, and it really, really, really is rewarding to see businesses where we start off and then where we finish. Well, not finish, but where we get them to. Yes. Yeah. And they always say, a successful accounting practice is just as successful as your clients.
Makes sense. Amazing. Yes. What do you think are some of the biggest financial challenges that small businesses face when they're trying to grow?
So I think initially when you decide to venture into this entrepreneurial world of starting your small business, cash flow is always an issue. Yeah. And I normally say to businesses, if you're starting a business, try and do the admin and the accounting and the bookkeeping on your own, because it is quite, daunting having marketing costs, having accounting costs, having bank charges, getting offices, all of those kinds of things. So cash flow is definitely challenging for startup businesses and getting your product out there.
Yeah, makes sense. And then to talk a little bit about the topic of change and innovation, in the business world, change is really not just something that's important, it's essential, especially today. Markets, technologies, customer needs, they're all constantly changing. And if you want to stay competitive and relevant, you need to be willing to adapt and evolve. So I wondered if we can talk about that in terms of small businesses. I mean, often we have these examples of like Netflix, this huge business now, and how they started sort of renting out DVDs, and they've had to adapt to being fully online and streaming their services. How do you think about change as a small business?
So I think I think it's really, really, really is important as a business owner to know that you are not the only one selling a specific product. There are lots of you around. There's lots of you trying to actually start your businesses. There's lots of you growing into the next phase of your businesses. And it is really, really important to stay ahead of your game. So I know I speak a lot about innovation all of the time,
Yes.
but you need to look at your product and you need to innovate your product the whole time. You need to look at trends out there. You do need to see what your competitors are doing, but you need to be different from your competitors. And that's what really defines businesses that do much better than other businesses. So I think innovation, looking at your competitors, but making sure you always do things better and you always just that one little step ahead.
So it's really about being aware of what's out there, what other people are doing, what customers are interested in, what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in terms of technology, I mean, obviously we're a software company, but I know that technology is such a big part of so many businesses and how they operate, and especially on the financial side. So how would you recommend that, especially small business owners, go about finding the right tools?
So, I always say to people, you need to, you really do, and 5 years down the road from COVID, but you really do need to take, COVID as an example. I'll just use my practice as a little bit of an example. About 3 years before COVID hit, I decided to make my accounting practice a cloud practice. And that the day we all sat down and Ramaphosa gave us the outlook of what life was going to be like in 2020, we could literally pack up our team, send them home, send them wherever, and we didn't have to worry about having to come into the office looking or getting onto a server or anything like that. And I think just saying that's what COVID has taught us. But I think the 4 years past COVID has actually shown us how important it is to move toward cloud product.
Yes.
To move to a more instant gratification kind of world or society. A lot of people are now wanting that instant gratification. So they don't want to wait, a month or 2 months after they've had like a month end to kind of see what their profit and loss was. They want to see within like 2 weeks after month end where they're sitting, because then they can make decisions, make the best decisions for their businesses. And we couldn't do that many years ago. So I think what businesses need to take out there are so many cloud-based products, and it's not. I'm not just speaking about accounting products. I'm speaking about the world. If you're in a specific market, go and look what is out there. Do the research. But I always say to people, look at what you're wanting to achieve out of that. If you are looking at getting whatever kind of system, a reporting system, an accounting system, a system that kind of like tracks quotes or whatever, just go do your research and see also what you want to achieve
Yes.
from those products. You know, that's very important. And try and make those decisions or consult with, you know, specialists. Let them understand your business and then make the right decisions from get-go.
And I think that point of instant gratification is really important, because we see that in, I don't know, so much of modern life, from, you know, sending someone a WhatsApp as opposed to writing them a letter, you know, even sending them an email. We have things like Checkers 60/60, which really took off during COVID, where you can get groceries delivered within 60 minutes.
Yes, yes.
We wouldn't have imagined that a few years ago.
And it's absolutely crazy. I mean, just taking 60/60 as an example, and I like shopping at Woolworths because that's just my kind of choice.
Well, then there's Woolies Stash.
Yes, but at one stage, Checkers 60/60 was really ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And if you ordered, you know, something from Woolies, they would only be able to deliver the next day. And I think Checkers was really innovative. You know, coming out with their apps. I know they've had redevelopment on their apps, and that's again is change, is continuously you have to kind of see where you are at, reassess. But just taking Woolies Dash as an example now, I mean they're exactly the same. So you can
and
order
they kind
from
of
Checkers,
have
you
to
can
be
order
to
from
stay competitive.
Yes, and please excuse me, but I've just forgotten the name. But there's even an app now where you can order from Woolies, Checkers, you know.
Oh, yes. I think one cart where it can put all of them together.
Which is fabulous as well, you know. So innovation is just absolute key for you wanting to stay ahead.
And for a lot of businesses, I know change is quite a scary thing. There's obviously also risk involved when you change things. So how can small business owners approach risk and risk-taking in a way that is responsible? What would you recommend?
So, yeah, I think it's always looking at what the cost is of that change. You know, there's that whole thing of you know, not putting too many eggs in one basket. That to me as personally also been a big eye opener, and kind of spreading your risk. So spreading your risk in terms of your customers. You know, look at your markets and try and always see where you can maybe add product to kind of spread, you know, your sales risk. And then massive for small businesses is keeping those costs as low as possible. So I know I just said just now you have to spend you know, expenses on marketing. You have to spend to be successful. But once you kind of stabilized, keep track of those expenditure and don't let it get out of control, because it can so easily.
Yes. And then how do you remain agile and adaptable as a business owner?
So it's sometimes difficult, and I think business owners sometimes get a little bit, you know, tired of always making all the decisions in businesses. But there is a lot of us out there who do this every single day. I think keeping your pulse on your business. So watch your sales trends, watch your competitors, watch your gross profits in your business, watch your net profit. Net profit is like a massive thing. And for those guys who don't know, is we always take our profits that we make and we divide it by sales to kind of get an idea of net profit. And I always say, you know, you should not aim for anything less than 10 to 12% on your net profit. If you're not achieving that in your business, really speak to a business strategist to kind of help you and assess where you're going wrong. But keep track of things. Don't just decide to wake up every single morning doing the same thing, not tracking your expenses, not tracking your GP and net profit percentages. The guys, and I've really seen it in business, the guys who are really paying attention to that do exceptionally well.
That makes sense. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
If you know what's going on in your business, then you can see, oh, this might be a potential issue, like maybe this is something we should investigate, maybe this is something we might want to change.
Yes.
Or also if something's going really well, then you want to know what that is so you can replicate it.
And what I actually see a lot of the times with, because I do a lot of, business consulting as well, if you first start getting the guys into tracking those kinds of percentages, and you show them where they were in the previous financial year versus where they are now, entrepreneurs are always people who want to exceed or to do better than what they did last year or better than what they did the period before. And it's just changing their mindset and making them think a little bit differently. I've got an amazing story about a client of mine that I took on about a year ago, and their net profit margins, I think, was sitting at something ridiculous like 5% or about 5%. And I said to them, guys, why are you actually doing business? I said, you could just be taking your money and you could actually just stick it in a simple money market account in the bank, and you could get between 7 and 8%, and you don't have to come to work every day, and you don't have to do this, you don't have to go through the stress of staff, of driving sales and all of that kind of stuff. And I was sitting with them yesterday, and they've just in a year got their net profit up from 5% to 25%.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. But those are people who have decided to really focus on the right things in their business.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It really shows, if you start to focus on those really important metrics, then you can make
100%.
a big difference. Do you have any tips that have helped you to keep an open mind in your own business, and what would you recommend for other business owners who are maybe a bit resistant to change, they're a bit scared of the risks involved?
So I think one of the big risks is starting as a small business, and whether you're selling product or selling services, it really is quite hard to make that decision to employ staff. So you kind of start and you go, oh, I'm just going to, in a service kind of industry, I'm just going to consult, and I'm going to be like a one-man business, and it's all just going to be lovely, and I'm going to be able to pay my bills and all of those things. And then you grow and you grow and you grow, because that's what you set out to be.
Yes.
I think you don't become a business owner just because you woke up one morning and decided you wanted to be a business owner. And the same with, product as well, is you start with one little product, and then you kind of look at the market and you go, oh, okay, like, the guys are asking for this extra product. And then you start offering those products. But the big thing, and especially it was for me, is starting to watch your staff complement grow. And it's quite a scary thing, when you get big and you grow up. But again, it provides so much opportunity for other people, and it's amazing to have a phenomenal team. I have an absolutely phenomenal team as well, and we all work towards like our joint goals. I think it is one of the big things, to the kind of hurdle to do that, and the hurdle as well to make those calls to go on a marketing campaign, or to have offices, because now you have to sign a 1 year or a 3 year or a 5 year lease, and you don't know where the business is going to go. So it might work, it might not work, you don't know. But a lot of the times, if you believe in the product and if you can manage your business effectively, you in good stead.
And in terms of when you start to grow and you start employing staff, say for the first time, how do you kind of know when it's time for you to start employing staff?
It's just, well, in the service industry, I think you get to a stage where you just can't do it yourself. So
There's just too many things to
there's
do.
just too many things to do, and you actually have to go, okay, I've now worked, I remember when I started my practice, I worked 6 days a week, and it was late nights and all of that kind of stuff, and you go, I can't do this anymore, you know.
Okay.
But I think in terms of products, if you're seeing your product really starting to sell, and again, you watch those like net profit margins. And if you just see those net profit margins are increasing all the time, and then you don't have, the resources, you can go, okay, let's do a budget and let's see if we can afford this person, that person, if we can afford that rent.
Yes.
And it's all about budgeting and watching those trends. And there's lots of other formulas. I'm just using GPs and net profit because they're the basics. But there's lots of other things that you can look at as well.
And if we return to cash flow, I know you were saying how important cash flow is for small businesses. I thought it was maybe worth talking about how small businesses can manage their cash flow a bit more effectively, and especially during periods of change.
So I think the big thing with cash flow, and I keep on going back to COVID as well, because I think that taught a lot of businesses. We were having a discussion yesterday around the restaurant and the hotel industry. Because what happens there very often is the guys are cash rolling. So, you're getting in customers this week. They're obviously paying you, but you're paying for food, that you've already bought, that's already been eaten. That's so that's kind of cash rolling. And we want people not to ever get into that situation. Because when you are rolling cash like that, if you have a thing that happened like COVID, there was all of a sudden no more trading, and immediately the guys went into, issues with cash flow and having to repay suppliers and going into horrible things like liquidation or business rescue, which is really what you just want to avoid at any cost in your business. So I would say to people, at least 3 to 6 months of operating expenses. So those would be your expenses that you've committed to. So it could be your rental that you've committed to. It could be your salary bills. It's kind of all the monthly expenses that even if you had a 0-cent sale, you're still going to have those. And I say ideally 6 months saved or put away for rainy days, or those periods, we see it in a December period, or we see it over a February period, and all businesses are very different. But when companies experience cash flow issues, and the worst stress that a business owner can ever have is cash flow issues, and so many people can't avoid it. So when I do my consulting with guys, is I always say, even if we start with a 0 savings base, let's just start. And we might get, in this year, we might get to a month, we might get to 3 months, immediately. But a lot of the times I say to them, let's try and keep our expenses as low as possible until we get to that stage, and then we can make additional decisions or invest additionally in research and development, or extra assets, or whatever we might decide to do. But key is to always keep between 3 months to 6 months of operating expense reserves in your accounts, and that to me is absolutely key to try and avoid any cash flow stresses.
Yeah, I think very good advice. And then how would you say businesses should balance the cost of change? So something like investing in new technology or new systems with the need to remain financially stable?
So yeah, I think it comes back to what I mentioned. If we can try and get those reserves to your 3 to 6 months, then we can put a plan on investment into whatever it is that the business might need. But having said that as well, is you might get to a stage in your business where you desperately do need to upgrade software for the sustainability of your business. And then you can't go, oh no, I'm going to wait for the 3 months or the 6 months, and then I'm only going to do it. So it is, again, it's that risk that you have to take, and that risk that you have to weigh up. So I think risk assessment is always very, very important. And sometimes you just have to make those decisions, and sometimes you're going to fail, and sometimes it's going to turn out for the best. But it's so difficult. But what I would say, in a perfect environment, try and do your 3 to 6 months, and then look at additional expenditure. But if it's not possible, and you need to make that change, do it and make that investment, and kind of have that goal afterwards, that when you're going to start generating the sales from those decisions that you've made, that you put it away for a rainy day.
And then in terms of being proactive as a business owner, how can you sort of preempt customer changes in demands, things like that?
So I think the big thing is always, and I think we chatted about that, is innovation. So keep on innovating your product. That rule of having most of your clients in the same kind of sector, or try and spread that risk. And if you have a client base as well, try and spread them. In a accounting firm or a practice, you kind of have your big guys, but then you also have it spread with your littlies as well. And you just have to kind of manage that, but not too many eggs in one basket. I've seen it fail too many times. But with that, try and spread your customer base. But also, if you're starting to see that there's problems in a specific sector, hopefully you'll have new products out there, or different products that can serve a different market.
Absolutely. I suppose we spoke about this a little bit with COVID, but what happens when there's an unexpected change that suddenly impacts your business? What would you recommend that business owners do to prepare?
So I think a lot of times you can preempt what is going to happen, because if you continue to look at markets and you kind of look at client shares, we're busy doing client satisfaction surveys at the moment, which I think is such a vitally important thing in a business. I've never done it. So we're doing it for the first time in 5 years. But I think knowing your market and knowing, things that might change. But if it's unexpected, you go back to that 3 to 6 months where you kind of just can breathe a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you were saving for.
Yeah. So that's exactly what you're saving for. And coming to the 3 to 6 months, what I sometimes say to guys is, when you get to reaching that, then as a business owner, reward yourself. So pay yourself a nice dividends, or however you structure it, pay yourself a bonus to say, like, well done.
Yeah, extra motivation.
Yes, but try and keep that cash flow there for an unexpected situation.
So, I think we're reaching the end of our podcast now.
Yes.
So I have some rapid fire questions for you. What's one piece of software that you can't live without? I'm going to say except for Sift.
That's terrible. So I have to. Okay, so obviously I absolutely love the product and I love the innovation and all of those things. I think to me, especially in my practice, is I use a practice management tool, especially, with the growth that we've had. I will never forget, we started using Trello, the free version of Trello, yes. And we kind of like managed, the boards and all of that kind of stuff. And then you get a little bit bigger, and we're now using Smart Practice, which is a practice management tool that is just phenomenal. And what I love about it, it's innovative. So I was on a call with the guys this week, and they really see where they can help us in terms of practices. What I love about them, they are also accountants in practice, so they understand our business, 100%. So yes, if that's, I love, and I can't do without it.
Best book you've read recently?
The Wealth Money Can't Buy. Especially, I think if you've been a business owner and you've been in practice for so long, that balance is so important, and we sometimes don't get it right. But that book does give some insights on it.
Amazing. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for joining us on the
pleasure.
podcast. And we will see you all in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.